Right, let's see if this is gonna work. I just want to make sure we have some audio before I go serious. Do we have audio? Do we have audio? We have audio, good. Right, so this is a Sharp GF9696 boombox. I bought it very cheaply because it wasn't working right. I figured out the issue, the power switch was a bit dicky, and now I've got it working. But I've noticed that while the manual does say it kind of has a line input, it actually doesn't. It has a 5-pin DIN connector which just has the inputs not going anywhere. So I'm trying to add a line input to it, and it's a rabbit hole. These things are way too high-tech for their own good and very difficult to work with. I have found a schematic for it where I've been able to figure out what we want to do. Let's see if I can maybe add screen capture to. Oh god. Okay. Do we still have audio? I hope we have audio. Anyway, that's the wrong window. There we go. Geez, I need to make sure we still have audio. Do we have audio? Yeah, we have audio. Good. Right, so what we have here is a very low-res scan of the schematic, and basically these are the phono inputs, the RCA jumpers. Can you even see the mouse cursor? I hope you can. And C111 here in the center is our phono preamp, and without doing any research I've figured out, or rather assumed, that C111 here and C112 are the output coupling caps for the phono preamp. So I'm thinking if we basically just desolder one leg of these and jumper from the input of the phono jacks to the positive side of the caps there, we ought to get line input without the RIAA preamplifier circuit enabled, which is exactly what we want, because while it's cool to have a phono on this kind of device, I'd rather have a line input so I can actually use it properly. So let's just get back to it. This is going to be a very informal stream. I wasn't planning on streaming this, so I was just going to do it for fun. But since this turned into such a huge mess, since these are so difficult to work with, just look at this horrible, huge module, which is just caught in so many wires everywhere. They're just basically impossible to work with. Thankfully, the whole thing comes out as a module. And to make matters even worse, this thing has been quite abused through its lifetime. I think it died because the previous owner had used the wrong AC adapter with it, just giving it the wrong polarity, because it has one of these evil negative center DC jack inputs, and the AC input is also dumb because it has some weird proprietary connector for it, and the previous owner had used a shaver wire to feed it to 230 volts, and this is just the wrong plug. It doesn't connect properly, so it has been arcing and sparking and creating all kinds of horrible voltage transients going into this poor thing. It does work right now though, thankfully. I'm not sure if it performs quite as well as it should, but it does work. So right now we're just chasing down C111 and C112, and I want to see if perhaps we can just bypass the phono preamp. Oh yeah, no, I did notice a bunch of bad solder joints over there, and I'm going to fix those right away before I forget. Because of course these are just single layer boards in a very mobile application where they get tossed around a bunch, so they're not going to be too happy about that all the time. This whole row is in not very good nick. And since it's such a big bother getting the board out of this thing, I'd rather just fix it when we've got it out. These are very common issues. You just look around for solder joints which look kind of wonky and basically fix all of the ones in that area. Especially ones for heavy components and big connectors tend to go bad. I just crack and then you get intermittent operation. I've absolutely ruined everything by shorting a couple together. My desoldering gun is not long enough to get there. I can't wait to be rid of this horrible old workshop. I can't wait. So that's entirely out of shot, yeah it is. Oh well. I don't expect the normal level of narration and stuff for this stream because it's not really as planned as they tend to be. Just figured I haven't had time to actually edit and publish as much as I'd like, so I'm just going to toss you guys some leftovers. I'm sure there's someone who likes looking at this kind of stuff anyway. Yeah, we have some really bad solder joints here on the switches as well. Perhaps that's part of why it's been a bit dicky. I can't really show it to you without making a horrible mess of the camera work, but basically we have circles around pretty much all of these top solder joints for the switches. And yeah, that's no good, because that means you're going to have intermittent operation. And some things are just not going to work at all. I'm noticing a bunch of the ones here at the top are just ground connected in parallel, so that's probably where it worked at all, despite having so many bad solder joints. Very common issue on anything with these big, huge multi-way switches for the solder joints to just go horribly bad on them, because there's such a big mechanical load when you press them. Hell, who knows, maybe this is why the DIN input isn't working. Just because there's been bad solder joints here. We probably want to try just feeding it a signal after repairing these, because this could definitely be causing major issues. No doubt about it. Then we'll have a chat. Audio is great. These are the kinds of streams I like. Well, if that's your thing, then yeah. I actually personally don't watch streams like this ever. But perhaps that's because I do so much work, I don't find it very entertaining to watch other people work when I can not think about working. This is a big part of why it's basically never worth taking something like this to a pro. I've already put a few hours into just getting this thing apart to this point. So the bill run up on this would be like a couple €100 by now. And we've barely even gotten started doing any actual repairs to it. And also tracking down all the little issues is so incredibly time consuming. And if you fix it for a customer and you missed one little tiny thing, then you're going to have a warranty case on your hands, and you could just lose a lot of money on it. It's a shame. So many of these have just gotten tossed away because of that. But maybe this guy's going to get a second chance. These wires are rated very annoyingly right across where I want to be soldering. And I'd rather not melt my wires into my solder joints. That would not be very productive. At least it's very easy to rework these single layer boards. There's no thermal mass in them. Oh, for fuck's sake, that's the tuner string. Ugh. I didn't think that was plastic. Oh, that's great. That's absolutely great. So now we're out of a tuner. Ugh. God damn it. That's a bad day. I don't have any spare tuner string. Can we just tie this together? Do we have enough slack to do that? I did not want to do a tuner string today. That is a ruined Sunday. That's a ruined Sunday. Usually these tuner strings aren't that sensitive to heat. They tend to be. They tend to just be normal thread, basically. Maybe we have enough slack to just tie this together. I'll just give it a shot. Perhaps we can just kind of melt it together afterwards to make it a bit more sturdy. I don't expect to really get anywhere with this project today. It's going to take so long. So if you're here to get some payoff in the end, you probably want to reconsider. There we go, that's tied together. Just single knots. I think that'll be fine as long as it's long enough, as long as we have enough slack in this tuning dial spring here. We're going to be fine. but we did lose quite a few millimeters on that. So I'm not sure if we actually have the slack we need. Let's try it. Oh god, this is so incredibly tight. Go. Spring. All is on there. Way too fucking tight. Do we get the full range? We're going to go from there to there. This is pretty fucked. I'm probably going to have to redo this properly, but at least we have the rating preserved now. Someone asks, am I late for something? Perhaps you'd missed it when I cut the dial string, which is now retardedly tight back in place, but at least it's there. So I'm gonna have to redo that. So what we've been doing was first just reworking some bad solder joints on this thing, since it's a big ghetto blaster which has been around for 30 years. It's got quite a few bad solder joints, so let's try and not destroy more of a dial string. Which is a bit of a tall order given how bloody tight all this is. Reflow everything. Even if the solder joints haven't cracked yet, I'm still redoing them, because they are all going to have been subjected to severe mechanical stress, since solder joints in the same device have started to crack. And I don't fancy taking this thing apart again. Okay, that's should be all of the switches reworked, finally. Can't believe I fucked up that fucking dial string. Ah, that was a bad move. Oh, there's another switch over here. Might as well do it, since all the other switches had failing solder joints. This one's probably no better. Alright. I'm getting someone just doing a visual to see if I can spot any more obviously bad solder joints. You're never going to get all of them unless you just rework the entire board, but that's going to take days, and I'm not doing that. No way, Jose. Oh, there's another baddie. Oh, this is all liquid damaged in the corner there too. Yuck. let's just say that's good enough for the time being. Let's keep chasing the two capacitors we're looking at. So we're looking for C111 and C112, somewhere around here. Let's have a look at the chat before we do that. Tune it to the key of G. Yeah, there's a very high-pitched tuning string. Someone says you should do the rec playback switch as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like the whole tape assembly is a separate unit which I've taken out because it's in the way of getting the board out. I have no idea what this big thing here is. It's not part of the tape assembly. It's just a big ass switch. So I'll probably want to resolder that as well, because that could actually be part of the rec switch. And rec switches often tend to go bad, and they often tend to fall off the board. And basically all signals usually go through the rec switch, so that they can be routed to the tape head whenever needed. So they are very known for causing random issues. Halfway done. If you're just joining us, we are working on a giant sharp GF9696 ghetto blaster, which I just ruined the dial string on, and we're repairing solder joints. Since quite a few have failed due to age, it's not going to be as exciting a narrated live stream as usual, because this is mostly just grindy work where we go through and fix stuff. The end goal is to find a couple of capacitors and add a line input to this device, sacrificing the phono inputs just to make this thing a bit more useful. But we're a bit away from that. There we go. That's probably most of the switches resoldered. Well, we have a few more on an extra board here, but we'll do that in due time. So right now I want to find a C111 and C112 somewhere on this board. That's going to be a bit annoying. Well, here's the right area, C118. So they are going to be close to IC101, I believe, which could be this guy. C105, yeah, this is IC101 here, so that's the phono preamp, and we're looking for the output caps. C110, we're looking for the output caps of IC101 here, so We're gonna be really close. C103. Where are you? C111. C108. Man, C110. That's a blue balling right there. Oh, that's another bad solder joint. Bad solder joint rectified. C1, what's that? C102. C113. It has to be somewhere in this area. Oh, C112. That's a ways off. So there's one of the capital ones by the phono switch. So where's... oh, there's C111. Okay, we'll find them. They're right off camera. Let's give you guys a bit of a better view. Where are we? So this is a phono input switch, and here's C112 and C111's right there. So let's see how they're connected in the schematic. Let's see if I can manage to get the schematic up. There we go. So C111 here, the positive side is going to what seems to be the 8-bit of the phono preamp IC, and C112 also has the positive side going to probably the 8-bit. So what I want to do is just cut the trace right there and inject a signal into the positive side of C111 and C112. I'll just make a quick cut of a trace, making it so that I can just bridge it with solder if it doesn't work. So C112, is it just going to jumper? Yeah, it's going to jumper. I could just cut the jumper actually, if I wanted. Is C111 the same way? Yes, seems to be. So if we can just cut the jumpers, we don't have to modify the PCB at all. Oh god, this module is terrifying to work with. Like it's a giant plastic mess basically. Let's see. Something just went dark in here. Something went tick. And it went dark in here. I have no idea what went dark in here. That's weird. Maybe it was just got a message from work, yeah. It was just a power grid failure. Quick power grid failure. Just for a second. Anyway, so we're looking for the wiring going to C112 and C111. Oh god, this thing is so incredibly fragile. And that's going to be a VAT cab right there. So that's going to be the purple jumper wire. And C111 is all the way over there. And that's going to be the blue jumper wire. So we have purple and blue going over there. And we also have a black wire, so that perhaps grind for everything. Let's see if we can figure out if that's grind by looking at the schematic. I don't think they will have labeled the wiring too good in the schematic. They just do it as a schematic with no reference to a mechanical layout of a device, but the black wire goes to what seems to be the casing of a switch. Does it? Maybe. Oh no, no, that's just a piece of cardboard. I'll just... oh god. What are we even showing on the camera? I would just show a schematic, whoops. I'll just beep it out to see if the black wire there goes to any kind of grained looking spot on the board. If it does, then I'll just use that as my grind. If not, then we'll have to just kind of tap a grind off of the phono preamp IC. So there's the black wire, and that's probably ground. That's nothing there. So it does give a capacitive bip when I probe the capacitors, the phono preamp coupling caps. So could be that's signal ground for that, but I don't feel like counting on it, so we probably want to check out what the pinhead of the chip is and see if we can figure out which one is ground there. So do I have a ground? Pin number 6 is labelled 0 volts, and that's going to ground. But ground is also going to our phono input connector, so if we just hook RCA leads in, we are going to get ground through there. So what we basically want to do now is just hook the phono connectors straight into these capacitors, and we can do that by cutting the jumper wires, and that should work. So let's see if we can manage to do that. So this thing is dirty and disgusting, but it'll clean up. It's also so incredibly fragile and impossible to work on. Oh god. There's so much wiring just holding this thing together in every direction. So the blue and purple wires are running around the switch there. How'd you come on, you probably can't see a single thing I'm doing. This would be so much easier with a cameraman. There we have blue and purple. Just ripped out slightly. Right there. So now I'll just cut this, and we will inject our signal in there. Snip. It's like defusing a bomb. So this is going to be the output for the phono preamp, and this is going to be the input going to the selector switch. And that's hopefully roughly line level So we're going to be able to just feed signal from a PC or smartphone or something right into these guys, and it's going to perform well. So now, yeah, I'll just strip these and clamp something on there. Or maybe I'll just solder some leads onto the back of a board. I think that might be easier. The important thing is that they're cut so they're no longer connected to the output of the phono preamp, because that would be a low impedance and shorting out input signal to ground. Oh God, this thing, so fragile. Where are we? There we are. Right, so I'm going to fetch some wiring. Wiring. I'm not sure if I have any audio tier wiring. Oh yeah, I do. I do have some audio wire. Maybe that's good. Is this going to be long enough to... Ah yeah, I think that's going to work quite well here. Yeah, that's decent. Some old chopped up RIAA wire. So we'll just strip this up, get rid of a grind in the PCB end, because we've already got our grind connected. I will connect the grind in the connector end by the phono input plugs, since we do want our wire to be shielded as far as possible, and that's just some extra free shielding basically. But we don't want to connect grind by the PCB here, because we've already got grind going there, and that would cause a grind loop, and we don't know where the grind is going. Exciting wire stripping action, only on the FF Cossack channel. So I'm leaving ground in one end, just to give us some grinding in the shield as it runs along. And I'm going to have to flip the bloody thing over again. Oh, this thing makes me want to cry. Yeah. There are so many screws that I can't remember where they're supposed to go. Maybe we can get this. No, we can't get that thing pointing away from us because the wires are too short. Right, there's our phono connectors. We'll just solder onto those. If I find the wire, which I misplaced, there we go. Let's just pre-tin them and reflow them onto the RCA jacks. Note that I'm not disconnecting the RCA jacks, because I don't think that having the input of a phono preamp still connected is going to cause any issues. It's a high impedance input, so it's not going to load down any smartphone or anything unduly. So this is the part where the original wiring just pings to hell. Unless I manage to melt that too. Ah, that's gone well. You can't see it, but there's a nice big drained bus bar type dealie there, which we can solder onto, making our grounding somewhat sane. So soldering a ground, just uglily. This is just a prototype. I'll redo it if it actually works. So I'm just tacking them on. Like something people often don't get about soldering is you need to view solder as hot glue. And would you ever just use hot glue to basically tie two things together that need any kind of mechanical strength? No, you wouldn't. The basis of any good solder joint is a good mechanical connection, because solder itself is not very durable at all. It's just metallic hot glue. Right, so here are our RCA input leads, and we are going to solder them to the back side of the board, meaning we have to flip this whole module over again. Oh, these wires are crying for mercy, and now the view meters are falling out. I'm kind of regretting taking this thing apart, to be honest. So we'll just write this like so. I'll think about writing it properly later. My goal for today is a working prototype. So we have our input there, and our input here. There. Come on. I have no idea which is right and which is left, so we'll just do it randomly. There's one. There's the other. Okay. So, assuming we don't need to have the tape deck installed for the rec switch to be in the correct position, which isn't a possibility. This should work if we put it in phono mode. That would be there. I am suspecting that we need to remount the cassette deck for this to actually work properly, since it's very common for these kinds of devices to basically just write all signals through the cassette deck. The horrible broken cassette deck, which I am not planning on restoring. Oh god. That's our tuning dial. We do not want to break that. I can't believe I managed to cut the fucking tuning cord. So I don't want this to short out, we'll just kind of install it like it's supposed to be. Okay. So we have power here. I don't think anything is too horribly mongoed here. I want to take all the dials to the lowest settings, and let's just give this thing some voltage and see how much smoke comes out. Oh yeah, we probably want... shit, we need to put some RCA leads into it, of course, to get any audio out of it. Do I have any... oh yeah. RCA leads, so how the hell is this going to happen? Let's just put that on some solder and poke these guys in the respective holes. That's one. That's another. Alright. Those should be connected. And I'm going to wager... No, I'm not going... Yeah, I'm going to wager that there's not going to be any horrible DC offset there, so we'll just say that it's fine to connect up to my smartphone. And we will take some free, or rather licensed music that's playing, and see if this is going to work. So power is on the power supply. Let's see what happens if we turn this thing on. It's making a bit of noise. We have something going on with the VU meters. Are we going to get audio? Oh. Listen to that. That's exactly what I want to hear. That's bloody well good. That worked way better than I dared expect. That's sounding just fine. Don't mind that at all. And it was a bit muffled because we had both tone controls, so just mashed to a bottom. Well, that's good. We haven't managed to ruin it. That's lovely. A minor success. Okay. So... I'm not going to be able to keep up with the chat properly. It's very satisfying just sitting around listening to something like this. Fuzi Allah asks, can you explain how to do this? Well, that's what we've been doing this whole stream. I've had a look at the schematic. So to kind of recap, let's have a quick look at the schematic. So the whole schematic looks like this. So that's of course a big mess. But I started out by just looking at where all the input connectors go, and basically I started by trying to use the 5-pin DIN on the back here, but that just kind of goes into the microphone circuit, and it's just going to some part of the stereo which doesn't seem to actually be implemented right, because I can't get any of the microphone inputs to work right. So then I went on to look at the phono preamp, because usually the way these phono preamps work, I know from experience, is they just take the input signal from a phono, amp it up, add an RIAA equalization curve, and they spit out line level-ish signals. So thankfully the schematic is quite clear on that, since we have C111 here, right by the phono inputs, and they go to a resistor, a couple of capacitors and filtering into the IC, and then we have these two caps here on the other side of the IC. It's very logically set up, this part. So I just assumed blindly, on faith, that these capacitors were the output line level coupling caps for the phono preamp, and then they go to the switch and so forth. So I just tracked these caps down and cut the jumper wire leading signal into them and inserted my line level signal there. Essentially just skipping past the phono preamp. What we've done is we've connected a wire from the phono input, just jumping over all this stuff to this point here. And beyond that, I've of course just taken a lot of time out of my day to disassemble this whole thing, because, well, where are we? Ah, that's my test screen cam. Because, like, the biggest part of it is just getting this whole thing apart. That took about as long as we've been streaming, now just getting inside this thing. So yeah, that's how I've done it. It's a lot of experience. I do a lot of this stuff since I do it for a job as well, basically. And of course, a big part of it is trying to get translate the schematic to the actual board, because we don't actually get a drawing of a board. So, you know, you saw me just sit around looking for the capacitors, and then we're hooked on there. And now we have music. This thing sounds surprisingly good, actually. Like, I don't usually like these boombox style devices because they tend to sound really crap, but this thing had a decently low bass, despite having giant speakers and a not very big enclosure. It's also got actual attenuators for the tweeters. I was surprised to see that. And decently tuned tone controls as well. I'm not sure it's actually putting out as much treble as I'd like, but we can just play with the attenuators to fix that. There's not a huge amount of treble coming out, so compared to the FM radio I was listening to before. It's really quite basic. Now it's absolutely maximum treble enable right now, and it's nowhere near as trebly as it is on FM radio. But if we max both the treble attenuators, we can get decent performance out of it. Yeah, it's going to be fine. So, oh yeah, well, that's plenty of trouble right there. So, right, basically what we need to figure out now is how to get this thing back together without completely ruining everything. Actually, I don't really want to take this thing back together yet, because I want to give it a proper clean-up, because this thing is so nasty. And yeah, that's not going to make good streaming content. Like, let's just give you guys a look. So this is the aluminium top of the unit. As you can see, it's completely full of grime and dirt, so this thing is going to have to be quite severely cleaned. The whole unit is basically like that, and it's got some mechanical issues as well that I need to take care of. So really, I think I'm going to have to leave you guys with this for the time being, because I don't think anyone's going to enjoy watching me just scrub things, and I don't feel like doing that right now anyway. Someone says, wire it to the output of the FM receiver. No, that's a horrible idea because we still have FM radio here and the tune is perfectly serviceable. Like, I'm pretty sure if we put this thing in FM mode, we're going to be able to listen to radio. Yeah, not the greatest reception down in the basement, but...
Östersjön, Ålandshav, skärgårdshavet och Bottenhavet. Oslo till...
FM radio is perfectly serviceable. I don't want to ruin the FM radio. So yeah, gonna turn that off now. Fuzila says, I'm a follower for a long time. I'm just thinking of making the same project and I just wanted to be sure. Well, this is going to be unique to this particular model of boombox. You're going to have to research your own boombox if you're trying to make a similar modification. No two devices are alike, especially not these ridiculous old boomboxes. Like, just have a look at how ridiculously overkill everything is. Just all of this wiring, just zip tied down, going everywhere. Like, this thing is a complete mess of engineering there. I'm not particularly impressed at all at how they laid this thing out. Just, ugh, so much stuff in such disarray. These are not very fun. Garmin CX, add a switch between FM and line in. No, you could do that, but I'd rather just sacrifice the phono input because I'm not interested in having a phono input. So yeah, I'm going to end this right here. You guys have a good night, and as always, make sure you enjoy yourselves. Perhaps we'll see a video on this thing in the future, but don't count on it because I'm a lazy twat. Cheerio.